What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Dawg Pound Discussions. And, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, how did this man get the bear from Cocaine Bear to do an interview? And that, of course, is indeed a bear. It is not that bear. But that's Tony Battaglio. How you doing, Tony? Hopefully better than me.
Doing great, Derek. You know, your little intros are getting kind of funny. Hey, you're giving us material to clip. I guess that's, you got to be good for something. You can't talk barely. You sound like you're losing your voice. You sound like one of those old fucks in the smoker commercials. So
Yeah. For those of you who do not know, just a quick disclaimer right off the bat. Let's not beat around the bush. I understand I sound horrible. I sound like your neighbor, Judy, down the street, who's 85, been smoking since she was 12. Listen, I've been the sickest I've ever been in my life. Last 4 or 5 days. We're on the other side, but it's been awful. So, I'm going to sound terrible. I apologize. Show goes on. We got to do our best here. So, with that being said, we do have a lot of news. A lot happened. A lot to talk about. So, that being said, there was a lot of releases, Tony. There was a lot.
yeah, there was.
You want to go ahead and go down the list, or you want me to?
Well, perhaps a lot of shocking releases this year, arguably. I mean, the Eagles released Kevin Byard. That kind of kicked everything off. The Buffalo Bills released half of their team. Jordan Poyer, Mitch Morse, Saron Neal, Deontay Hardy, Naheem Hines, Tre'Davious White. The Broncos cut Justin Simmons, and Russell Wilson was released as well. That's probably the hottest free agent quarterback out there next to Kirk Cousins right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely going to be a lot to discuss. There's going to be a lot of movement within the NFL this season, especially with Buffalo releasing the majority of their secondary, except for some reason, DeMar Hamlin. Don't know how he survived the day, but...
Well, T. Higgins wasn't making the cuts. Okay, that's terrible. Let's move on. So there was a lot. There was a lot. Kevin Byard kind of surprised me because that was a guy that they traded for. That was a guy that the Eagles went out and invested in. I don't think they gave up a whole lot, but, when they made that move, that was a team, Tony, that we thought was going to be, again, Super Bowl contenders. They started off hot. They were looking really good. And then that team just fell downhill. I don't think he was the problem by any means, but, the Eagles going ahead and deciding to cut Kevin Byard was, at least to me, was crazy.
Definitely surprising to me. They brought him in. He got dropped faster than one of Taylor Swift's ex-boyfriends prior to an album release. Definitely a shocking move, but that team fell apart late in the back half of the season. They fired their defensive coordinator. They collapsed in the second half of the year. They just looked like an entirely different team that we've seen in the Super Bowl the previous season. You could tell some changes had to be made, and they did make some, but this one is a surprise to me. I did not see this one coming.
Yeah. And then from there, back to these Bills releases, Jordan Poyer, it was the biggest surprise, but not even just Jordan Poyer, but Jordan Poyer and Tre'Davious White. Those are two guys that have been really, really good. I would say even elite members of that Bills secondary. And, that team, I think they needed changes. I don't believe the vast majority of them were roster changes, if I could speak. But, I don't understand it. I don't know if Buffalo is just wanting to cut down and restart because they've come close and fallen short so many times. I don't know. I think that team needs a lot of change, but I don't think Jordan Poyer and Tre'Davious White, I know he's been hurt, but I don't think those two being really important were needed to be cut. Some of these other guys, all right, but yeah.
I think Jordan Poyer is a guy that I wouldn't mind seeing the Browns going out and grabbing because we do need some help in the secondary with injuries. Rumors of Greg Newsome being traded. Bring Jordan Poyer back to Cleveland. I'd be more than on board with that if we could somehow swing it in the salary cap.
Yeah, certainly wouldn't be a bad idea. It's just a matter of what the Browns are going to want to spend, which we'll get into, everybody. Yeah. But joining a long list of releases, one of the most surprising ones outside of the big name from this team being Russell Wilson, obviously, but Justin Simmons, released by the Denver Broncos. Tony, what did you think about this?
I did not see that coming. I definitely thought he was going to be one of those guys that would be a Denver Bronco for the entirety of his career. It caught me off guard. It makes me wonder just what kind of changes Sean Payton is trying to establish within the organization. You can tell that he had problems with Russell Wilson throughout the season, and now all of a sudden, Russell Wilson is no longer a Denver Bronco. Back when that trade was made, everybody thought Denver had given up a lot to the Seattle Seahawks, and now they just look entirely much worse than they did when they initially made the trade to get Russell Wilson. He didn't even last, nearly the length of the contract. But this one, again, it's another long line in a list of wrong moves by the Denver Broncos. I don't understand how you can cut Justin Simmons. Mm-hmm. Makes no sense to me. It makes me wonder where the direction of this franchise is heading. And I feel like they're in for some dark years in the AFC West. Once, the Chargers figure stuff out, Vegas is on the rise. And then, as always, you got to compete with Kansas City. So in an AFC that continues to get more and more competitive each and every year, Denver is definitely starting to fall behind the mantle. And this, again, like I said, it just makes no sense to me. It's almost like they're, wanting to head for a total rebuild of the roster. Mm-hmm. And we're going to get a lot of guys that fit the mold of Sean Payton.
Yeah. And we'll talk about Russ here in 1 second, but, with Justin Simmons, I never understood why teams will try to get rid of their best players. Like, I just never understood that. And when you look at that Denver defense, who are the two best players? It's Pat Surtain and it's Justin Simmons. Unless there's somebody that I just can't think of. They have some good talent. They have some talent. But those two are your top of the top. They released Justin Simmons. And Tony, do you remember back when they were talking about the possibility of trading Pat Surtain?
I don't know what Denver's doing. Sean Payton doing it his way, I guess. I really do think a lot of this is Sean Payton type moves. Wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of New Orleans Saints type fits come into the Denver Broncos organization. He might try and establish, he may go after a guy like, Taysom Hill. Finding Taysom Hill mold in that draft that played tight end or quarterback, convert him to a Swiss Army knife. Again, I don't know what direction Denver's looking to head right now. And if they trade Pat Surtain, I can't even say I'd be surprised at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And last thing on Simmons from me here, unless you had anything, I kind of wish we had. I know we didn't have the luxury to wait, but I kind of wish we waited a year, because if we could flip, Juan Thornhill out for Justin Simmons, oh boy,
that'd be incredible.
That's nothing against Juan Thornhill. I still like him. I think he can be a good fit. I think he does what, he can do what we need him to do if he's healthy. But, man, Justin Simmons is a difference maker. I think he's I'd say probably top 3 safety for sure.
I'd agree.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense. I feel bad for whatever quarterback ends up in Denver, unless it's J.J. McCarthy because he sucks. But I I really do. I wonder, like, a little bit off topic here, but like they've been talking about these wide receivers for the last how long? Like, are they actually going to trade one of Jerry Jeudy or Cortland Sutton this offseason? Because they're getting rid of all their talent. So I mean, who knows? But anyway, so Russell Wilson released by the Denver Broncos. I'll let you go first. What do you got to say? Oh my gosh, what a picture!
Yeah, that's awful. God, I guess Russell Wilson just didn't see the future coming. He looked awful during his time in Denver. Not much to say other than that. Disagreements with head coach Sean Payton. Very unlike Russell Wilson characteristics, just out of pure frustration and stress from how the team has performed. He'll land on his feet. I still believe he's a serviceable NFL quarterback. He's a solid NFL quarterback, in my opinion. I just don't think the Denver Broncos was the correct fit. There's plenty of landing spots for him, and I'm sure Russell Wilson will land on his feet. And, as we talked about off air, you can get him for cheap. So even if the Cleveland Browns could somehow persuade Russell Wilson to come to Cleveland and, back up Deshaun Watson, I wouldn't hate that.
There's no
Do I think it's going to happen? Absolutely the hell not. But as long as he doesn't end up a Pittsburgh Steeler, I'll be rooting for Russell Wilson. I've always liked him. He's a gamer. He's a competitor. It's an unfortunate situation, but brighter days are ahead, I'm sure, for us. Broncos country, let's ride.
Mm-hmm. I was just about to say that's what he's forever going to be remembered as. Excuse me, the Broncos country, let's ride. That's crazy. But yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you just said. I like Russell Wilson a lot. I think he's a little bit corny sometimes. But I genuinely believe he is a good dude. Like, I know a lot of people hate on him. I do think he is a good dude. And it's weird because his first year was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. Like, we talk about Baker 2019 of how much that ball was getting turned over and just how wild some of those throws was and off target, and it just a disaster. Russell Wilson, his first year, worse than that. Like, I went through and I watched a lot of Broncos football because of Jerry Jeudy. And at that time, we were talking about trading for him. And I was just watching these balls that he was getting thrown, and I'm like, man, people sit here and say Jerry Jeudy's not that good, but look at what he's getting thrown to him. I mean, it was terrible. But with that being said, in his second year, he improved. I think he was okay. Like, he was fine. He wasn't great. He wasn't, the Russ that we remember, but he was good enough. I know at times people pulled his stats and put him next to Mahomes and that sort of thing. Obviously, he's not Mahomes, but I kind of feel bad for Russ to an extent, because I feel like he was treated unfairly, and I don't want his legacy to be remembered as this.
I think Russell Wilson will be remembered for, unfortunately, three things. Broncos country, let's ride, for sure. The Fail Mary, and the Seahawks not handing the ball to Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah.
And that's very unfortunate for Russell Wilson. And to speak on Russell Wilson as a person, I really think Russ and Ciara are what Steph and Aisha Curry think they are, if that makes sense. As a public persona, just overall good guy. Like, again, he got a bad rap in Denver, and I want to see him land on his feet. As I said, he deserves it. As long as it's not Pittsburgh, I'd love to see him land on his feet and have a solid end to his NFL career.
So, want to shift gears here. Well, actually, you know what? Since you brought it up, let's talk about it real fast. Um, Russell Wilson, where he's gonna land. He's talking to the Steelers. Um, it's silly season. I don't know what that is gonna look like. I don't know if the whole reports of the Steelers still love Kenny Pickett, which is hilarious. I don't know if that's entirely true.
I can't see it. I mean, he's been very underwhelming.
I can see it because that organization is, um, they have stupid loyalty to the point where they'll keep
That's
somebody
fair.
even if they suck. So,
Yeah, Big Ben definitely overstayed his welcome and hurt that team in his later
yes,
years.
exactly. So, honestly, I think the team that isn't being talked about for Russ that should actually there's two. I think the Minnesota Vikings would be a great fit. So that's one of them. And then, shockingly enough, stay in the division and go to the Raiders. The Raiders have Devontae Adams. They have, um, Jacoby Myers. Um, I
We
was
got
gonna
Josh Jacobs in the backfield for now.
for now, yeah,
Don't know how much longer he'll be there, but
yeah. I mean, he has some stuff to work with. I mean, you have Devontae Adams. Like, let's
yeah,
not
right
forget.
there alone is.
Mm-hmm.
You got Michael Mayer at tight end. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he didn't do much last season, but he's poised to break out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't think that would be a bad spot for Russ. He's a very specific play style. So, I thought Denver was gonna work. I really did, but
So did I.
um, it didn't. So, with that being said, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson. Everybody on social media has been saying that the Deshaun Watson deal is the worst trade in NFL history. It's horrible. It's awful. And that sort of thing. Tony, you go first.
Uh,
What's your thoughts?
when it happened, I may have agreed. Deshaun was coming off a long time of not playing football, and as you can see, he didn't start the greatest. He did pick up his form a little bit before he got injured. But as far as I'm concerned, massage parlor, let's ride. Give me Watson this season. I think he'll outperform Russell Wilson, regardless of where Russell Wilson lands. You want to laugh, Derek. It's okay.
I'm trying not to laugh because then I'm going to be coughing for the next 5 minutes and you're going to have to talk for 5 minutes straight. Um, see what you did? I think this is hilarious. I think it's very obvious the media bias against the Browns. And I know teams of other, or I should say fan bases of other teams will roll their eyes. And Jacob, I know you're probably sitting back there going, oh, they hate the Packers too. I know everybody says that. Like, everybody says that the media hates their team. But I have never, ever in my life seen such unfair evaluation of a situation. Like, people are saying Deshaun Watson is, like I said, the worst trade. Has played terrible. He's one of the worst quarterbacks. Like, that's how everybody's talking about it. And sure, at times, yeah, he's been terrible. Like, there are times where he has not been great. But what I will tell you is it's not even remotely close who won this trade. It's not even remotely close. Like, first of all, Deshaun's still a Cleveland Brown. Like, I know there's some people who don't want him to be, and that's fine. But, when you look at you got to look at what the trade was. And, when you're looking at what Denver gave up, right? Drew Lock, Noah Fant, Shelby Harris, who's now a Cleveland Brown, or hopefully will come back. And then the picks, like, Seattle's sitting back being like, cool, thank you. Like, we just dumped our veteran quarterback and didn't skip a beat and added a bunch. Whereas You look at the Texans, they got no players from the Browns whatsoever. And everybody wants to say, oh, well, they got C.J. Stroud. You should have just kept your picks and got C.J. Stroud. They didn't use that pick to get C.J. Stroud. They didn't use our picks to get C.J. Stroud. So as much as I'd like him to be a Cleveland Brown, absolutely I would. That wasn't our pick. So that sort of thing, you got to look at it from that standpoint. And then from the on-field side of things, Deshaun Watson, the media doesn't want you to know this, and every fan bases of other teams don't want you to know this, but guess what? Deshaun Watson has looked like Deshaun Watson in a good way at times. He has played very damn good. I've been there. I have seen it with my own eyes. I have seen some throws that I'm just sitting there like, wow, okay, like that's the guy. The times where he bails and goes through his reads, sees nothing, and then takes off for 20 yards. Like, Deshaun Watson has played good at times, and it kind of pisses me off that everybody acts as if he just sucks. He doesn't. Like,
I agree.
It's not even close. Tony, it's not even close who won this trade.
I agree with you. Seattle got the better end of Denver, and I think Cleveland got the better end of Houston on that. One thing, speaking on Deshaun, I kind of wish we did not have a lot. I know this is unavoidable. I wish we didn't have a lot of cheerleaders in our camp. And what I mean by that is we had so many people over the last 2 off seasons saying, Deshaun's ready. Deshaun looks great. Just because they simply won't say a negative word about the Cleveland Browns. And as much as I want to name drop, and I'm sure you know if you know, then you know who I'm speaking about when I say this, but stop the cheerleading. If Deshaun looks awful, have some balls and say, hey, he's not looking the greatest. Don't be surprised if he struggles early.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes we can take the rose-colored glasses off.
Mm-hmm.
And I will, and it's easy to say, yeah, Deshaun looked horrible because he has.
Yeah.
Yes, he's showing flashes of brilliance, and yes, he will get there. And I hope this season is the season. But like you said, like I said, as of right now, Cleveland. If Deshaun comes out this season and flames out and looks god awful, and it's clear that we have to move on from the contract, then maybe our opinions will change.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of our former quarterbacks,
oh boy,
the New England Patriots are interested in Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
But they're not interested in Kirk Cousins, which makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
But Derek, if you want to get into some more free agency news around the league, take it from here.
All right. Yeah. So, a lot of interesting things here. You already mentioned it. The Patriots interested in Baker. I feel like he's going to end up staying in Tampa. Which, along with that, Mike Evans signed a 2-year, $52 million deal to stay in Tampa.
That's a really good bargaining chip if you're the Bucs and you want to get Baker Mayfield back. Hey, look, we brought Mike Evans back.
Yeah, that's an interesting for sure. I don't know. That team's weird, but I think Baker. If I were Baker, or if I was in Baker's camp, I would sit down and I'd be like, hey, dude, you've been on Browns, Rams.
4 teams.
Yeah, 4 teams now. And your success past your rookie season is on the Bucs. Just stay. Like, if you don't want to flame out, just stay. If he was bad this year, he was going on College Game Day. Like, I know everybody's like, oh, the Browns messed up. No, so I think he should stay in Tampa for sure.
I agree completely. Tim, if you're watching this part, your boy would have been sitting next to Pat McAfee on Saturdays. We didn't work out in Tampa Bay. Still not quite sure.
He'd do a great job.
Feel free to come on the show sometime, and we can argue about Baker Mayfield all day when Derek's feeling better.
Yeah, I was going to say, wait till I have a voice.
He had to bounce back, and he's got to stay where he had success.
Mm-hmm.
If he goes to New England and looks awful, your career's done after next year. You're going to be a journeyman. You're going to be a backup, or you're going to swallow your pride and go sit behind a desk on Saturdays in Norman and wonder what could have been.
Yeah.
Speaking of Kirk Cousins, as he was mentioned, the Atlanta Falcons are actually more interested in Kirk Cousins than they are current Chicago Bears quarterback Justin Fields, who is a hot seat trade candidate coming into the season. What's your view on that? Do you think Kirk fits the Falcons better, or do you think they'd be better served with Justin Fields, who is a upgrade? I mean, both guys are an upgrade from Desmond Ridder. You're not going to get the legs that Fields has if you go with Cousins, but you get a consistent pocket passing quarterback, which is something Justin Fields really isn't either. So.
I'm going to go with my gut on this one, and I'm going to say that this is bullshit. I think this is silly season. I think this is an effort from the Falcons to try to drive down the price for Justin. And I only say that because Justin fits exactly what they need. Atlanta needs a quarterback that is mobile, that can extend plays, that can assist in the run game. They just spent a first-round pick on Bijan Robinson, who is absolutely worth it, yes.
And then underutilized him.
Yes, exactly. So you spend an asset like a high first-round pick on Bijan, and you don't use him, and then you don't have a quarterback that necessarily fits well with his skill set. Justin Fields does, and also Justin Fields is a good enough quarterback that he can sling it downfield. I think he can get more out of Kyle Pitts. I think he can get more out of I can't remember his name. Receiver, whatever. I forget his name. Anyway, Drake London.
Brain fog. Yeah, Drake London. There you go.
Yeah. So I think Field, and he's from Atlanta, right? He's from Atlanta, fits what they need. It's a match made in heaven. I think it's a better spot for him than Chicago. It fits him better. I think it's better for both sides, honestly. But yeah, I think it's bullshit.
I agree.
Yeah.
Potential Cleveland Browns sighting here. Miami Dolphins are not franchise tagging Christian Wilkins.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what it takes. Break out the checkbook, get him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if it's your whole free agency budget. Jimmy, Andrew, Kevin, sign Christian Wilkins. Let him be a force in the middle. Him and Myles Garrett, unstoppable.
Yeah.
I would love to have Christian Wilkins here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Let's still finish free agency, but let's shift gears for the moment here. Because these two guys from Miami have been tied to the Browns. Jerome Baker had liked a tweet that had said something about come home, brown and orange. To your point, Tony, I think, first of all, Jerome Baker would be the perfect fit. I think he's
I agree.
perfect for what we need. We need a guy at linebacker who's athletic, who can be that veteran, but also give you a lot, not just an old guy who's going to stand back there. I think that's a perfect fit.
I agree. Him and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah at linebacker, that'd be a dream pairing. That'd be a very dangerous pairing.
Yeah. And then
if we could somehow swing both Wilkins and Baker, obviously very unlikely, but I think it would solidify us arguably as the best defense in the National Football League.
Yeah, with Christian Wilkins, it's funny because it's not like it's the most important position of need. You go out and sign Dalvin Tomlinson last year, and I think he was great. I think he was really, really good.
He was solid.
Yeah, absolutely. But Christian Wilkins, he's young. Yeah. He's a great internal pass rusher from the middle, which is what would be so beneficial for the Browns. And I love Dalvin Tomlinson, but he is older. So if you could sign Christian Wilkins to a long-term deal, and I mean long-term deal, like I'm talking minimum 4 years, I would be all over it. I'd be all over it because then you would ensure that at the very minimum, you at least have one other great defensive player on that line to help Myles Garrett. Um, and like I said, it's for me, it was like, okay, when I saw we were tied to him, because it didn't make sense. Like, receiver's more of a need right now,
Yeah.
linebacker. But again, this is like when you have the opportunity, you have to pounce. And based on how it sounds as if Christian Wilkins very well could be a Cleveland Brown. There are a lot of ties. Deshaun Watson being one of them, the agent being one of them. And I think Christian Wilkins is a player who would die to play alongside somebody like Myles Garrett.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's exciting for sure. It's exciting. You got anything else on Christian Wilkins, or you want to move on?
Nothing on Christian Wilkins, but two things to touch on. L'Jarius Sneed did get franchise tagged, but he was given permission to seek a trade, and Zach Wilson was also given permission to seek a trade. Not sure if there's any landing spots for Zach Wilson. He might be preaching at BYU next season.
I thought you were gonna go a different route there. Anyway, yeah, L'Jarius Sneed. Let's start there. Outstanding player. This is an example of, hey, you're too good to just let go. Like, we need to get something for you. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see what the Chiefs do. I think everybody has the Chiefs going receiver in the first round. I wouldn't be surprised if they go corner. That wouldn't surprise me. Just because I think it's maybe more of a hole trying to replace L'Jarius Sneed. I love Trent McDuffie. I think he's great. I think he's awesome. But, Sneed is tough. Zach Wilson, I hope you like The Rock, buddy, because you're going to get ready to meet him here soon. Going to be playing in the XFL.
That's crazy.
So,
so moving on to some Cleveland Browns news. Offensive assistant Jonathan DeCosta leaving the Cleveland Browns to become the co-offensive line coach down in Gainesville at the University of Florida. Furthermore, Kevin Stefanski said that the team is now building a brand new weight room, fresh off the back of the NFL evaluation of team facilities, where the Cleveland Browns did not score very highly overall. Pretty rough showing from the Browns in that regard. And I hope to see that's something that improves because, it may not seem like a lot, but that is something that can attract big name free agents. And you wouldn't think that, but it is. Some teams don't even feed their players 3 times a day. Yeah. It's that team down in Kentucky. They're pretty cash poor after that Joe Burrow contract. So I see why.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be a good fit for the Cleveland Browns. Speaking of finding your fit, head on over to TwoOneFits.com and find your fit. Browns, Cavs, Guardians, Lake Erie merch, the City of Cleveland merch. There is a fit for everyone at 2OneFits. I have a 2OneFits t-shirt on. It says Muni Lot Veteran. This is one of the original renditions of a 2OneFits merch. This is new and improved on the site. Hoodies, hats, t-shirts. I see you pointing, yes. Get your DF Sports merch at 2OneFits.com. Shameless plug, Derek. You don't have to. You're not Rob Van Dam. We don't need all that.
Actually, you know what? Off topic. This is a Shawn Michaels throwback sweatshirt. This sweatshirt's hard as fuck. You see that? That is hard.
Does look pretty cool. But yeah, get your fits at 2OneFits.
Absolutely. Let's shift gears here. So, the NFL Combine happened. Unfortunately, it just so happened that I got sick during the part I wanted to see the most, and I missed it, so that sucks. But a lot of interesting things to come out of the Combine. Records broken, space is not real, pigeons are fake. A lot of
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
yeah, a lot of good things, a lot of funny things, and that sort of thing there. But again, the one thing that I have mentioned that I think a lot of people need to pay attention to: who are the Browns meeting with? Who are they talking to? Who are they going out of their way to spend time with to find out more about them? And we have the list. Now there is a guy not on the list that I wish was on the list. But regardless, let's talk about it. So, Troy
So
Franklin, first name. How do you want to do
wide
this? Do you want to?
wide receiver out of Oregon, Xavier Worthy out of Texas,
Mm-hmm.
Blake Larson. I'm not going to say that. Even
No, do
attempt
it.
to say this
Do
guy's
it.
name.
Do it.
Tuli Latua Gassiona. I probably butchered that, and I apologize. Defensive tackle out of Washington. Malik Washington, wide receiver out of the University of Virginia. Malik Murphy out of North Carolina. Braden Fisk, defensive tackle from Florida State. Mason Smith from LSU, another D tackle. Jermaine Burton, a speedster out of Bama. And Javion Cohen out of the U, offensive guard.
Mm.
Derek, what's your thoughts on these players?
Well, first things first. I doubt he'll see this, but memes. On the off chance you see this, I'm gonna need a remix of Tony trying to pronounce that name. Um. So, a couple things here. What do you see from the list? Wide receiver, defensive
D
tackle,
tackle and
offensive
guards.
guard. I personally guarantee you that the Browns will draft a defensive tackle, a wide receiver,
And a
and an
guard.
offensive guard. Like they're not gonna meet with these guys if they're not interested. Um, Surprised some names aren't on the list. The name I wanted to be on the list was Xavier Legette. He was not. We'll talk about him in a minute. But Troy Franklin, outstanding speedster, I think would be a good fit. The guy who I think is a perfect fit, fits every possible need the Browns have, Xavier Worthy, who I've been pounding the
Yeah.
table for.
I don't think he's going to fall that far, unfortunately.
Yeah, we set the combine record for 2-1.
Yep.
Replaced
Great
John
4 yard
Ross.
dash. I would love to have Jermaine Burton
Yeah,
or
me
Miles
too.
Murphy. Miles Murphy's another name I'd like to see. Malik Washington would be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, as for the guards, I'm going to be honest. I think I'd take Javion Cohen over Blake Larson
Mm-hmm.
if he falls to us. But definitely the three positions we need to highlight in this draft. We've really been struggling at wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive tackle, we need some depth. And guards, our offensive line can't stay healthy. So, and, Joel Batonio and Wyatt Teller are getting up there in age.
Yeah. I don't know how Brie Larson is playing offensive guard.
I
I
I
don't know
just
how
don't
that
simply
happened.
think that's. Did I say Brie Larson?
No,
Okay,
I'm
good.
being stupid.
No, I just had to make sure that would have been a bad slip up.
No, that would have been funny. But yeah, I love a lot of guys on this list. Jermaine Burton, Mason Smith. I don't really know a whole lot about Braden Fisk. I'll be honest. Miles Murphy, I love. Malik Washington is the one that I don't like. I'm not a fan of gadget receivers. I'm just not. Him and Malachi Corley, I'm not big fans of. Like, I think it's a little bit crazy how high some draft experts have them. To me, if you're a gadget guy in college, what are you gonna do in the NFL? Like,
Right.
I'm gonna need to see a lot, a lot, a lot.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
So, moving on,
Mm.
some of the combine that you did see, who do you like? Who do you dislike? What do you want to hit on?
Yeah. So there was a lot that I really, really liked. Peyton Wilson was unreal. He was unreal. He showed out in the combine at a North Dakota State linebacker. He's incredible. I like him a lot. I think he, in my opinion, him or the next guy, might as well just say him, Jeremiah Trotter. I feel like the Browns, if they can get one of Peyton Wilson, Jeremiah Trotter, or in my opinion, Junior Colson, I think we would be great as far as coming out of the draft with a linebacker. I think all those would be good fits. I like Tommy Eichenberg. I know a lot of like Buckeye fans are like, "Oh, get Tommy." I think Tommy's good, but if you're gonna come away with a guy, or it's a draft, you're not gonna know how good these guys are for a couple years. But Peyton Wilson, Jeremiah Trotter, especially, but then like Junior Colson, I love. On the running back side of things, some guys showed out. Trey Benson, Jalen Wright.
Yep, great combines from both of them.
Absolutely outstanding. I still liked old buddy from Wisconsin, Braylon Allen. Is that right?
Braylon Allen, yep.
Yeah. I thought he was solid. It was cool to see Frank Gore Jr., Tony. What did you think about that?
Sorry, it's a little late. It is almost 11 p.m. I'm old and tired.
Is it actually?
It's about 10:30.
Oh.
Late podcast, Browns after dark, if you will.
Oh my gosh.
That's gonna start.
Boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. I can't wait to get those phone calls.
Anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Jalen Wright, great combine. 4.38 on the 40, 1.55 on the 10-yard split. Lengthy, long guy, above average vertical, high broad jump. Pause. Highest out of the running backs, I believe. He was running through Rocky Top last year. Maybe going to be running through the NFL as a potential first, early second round pick after that performance. Trey Benson, 4.39 on the 40, 1.52 split. Another guy, great length, pause, average, but he had an average vert and a solid broad jump. He was solid at FSU. Wouldn't mind seeing him with a team that fits him. There's a lot of teams around the NFL that could use a guy like Trey Benson in their backfield. Now, one guy I was particularly disappointed in, Audric Estime. I was pounding the table for Audric Estime, and he just let me down. He looked absolutely awful. I don't think I've felt sadder watching someone fall down a hole than when I lowered my dad's casket. He ran a 4.71 on the 40-yard dash, and that's ridiculous for a guy that I've seen have so much more speed.
Yeah.
But he did redeem himself a little bit with the vertical jump, 38 inches, solid broad jump, and he had 23 reps on the bench. So he redeemed himself, but I expected a lot better performance at Audric at Pound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I was paying attention to him. I still think he's talented. Hey, and it might be better news for the Browns. They met with him.
Yeah.
So
if we can grab Audric Estime, that makes it great.
We can grab him with like a late, I don't even know. I mean, 5th rounder, something like that.
Don't undersell him that much. I'd say maybe a 3rd rounder.
No. With all the running backs.
Let me dream.
I mean, I don't know, but anyway, at wide receiver, a lot of guys showed out. Xavier Worthy, record combine time. The dude, I'm a big fan of him. I think he's going to be great wherever he goes. I would love him to come to Cleveland. Again, I think he fits everything we need. But unfortunately, my gut's kind of telling me that he's not going to be there,
there's no way, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I hope he ends up in a spot that he's going to be showcased, because a lot of people have been saying a lot of shit about him that's not fair. Yes, he has the drops a little bit, but the dude played through with a broken hand last year. So, it's not the end of the world. But like guys like Brian Thomas Jr. at a good combine. Keon Coleman.
Keon Coleman was another great guy.
He was interesting, and this is a guy that could slip, I feel like.
For sure.
He ran very slow, but, producer Jacob brought this up. He was on the field drills was I believe he said the fastest receiver, which is interesting. Play speed
He
and straight line speed are two different things.
he's got blazing speed, that's for sure, and he'd be a great asset regardless of where he goes.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to pull from skill position wise in this draft. There's a ton to pull from. Now, yeah, Keon Coleman ran a pretty slow 40, a little bit of an average vertical. Excuse me, and he skipped the bench press. So not a lot to go from his combine, but he has a pro day still.
He's a bully.
He has plenty of time to improve.
He's a bully. If you turn on his film, that man is out there just, I mean,
absolutely.
He's making some grown men look like little boys. Like it's crazy. So I mean, you know,
I did say this on Twitter. I know me and Derek will differ on this. I am not an NFL combine guy. To me, how fast you can run in a 40-yard dash. To me, how many bench presses you can do, how high you can jump. It means nothing to me if you're doing it without pads, without coverage, without players in your face. What matters to me is when you put them shoulder pads on, you put your helmet on, and you play football.
Yeah.
And as you said, Keon Coleman is a bully, and he will make you look awful. So I'm not even worried about his lackluster combine performance in the, I'll call them show-out drills, because that's what people look for.
Yeah.
Everyone, what's your 40 time? What'd you bench? What's your vert? I don't care. When he puts football pads on, he's a monster. That's what matters to me. That's what tells me I think Keon Coleman is going to be a fantastic NFL football player.
Yeah, I completely agree. And honestly, I think you can say the same with all these guys. Lad Mahonky had a decent combine. He was solid. But the one guy we need to talk about here before we move on, I know we're coming down to the end, Xavier Legette. This is a guy that I want the Browns to get so bad. Like, if we can't get Xavier Worthy, give me Xavier Legette. This guy, he is 6'3", 237, I want to say, of pure muscle. You see him there. Dude, it literally looks like A.J. Brown. Like, he is huge. And I want to say he ran a 4.47. That dude ran a 4.47. Yeah. Now, again,
speed.
Yeah, and again, straight line speed, I understand that, not always correlates. But when you watch the film, this dude is legit. There was a play, I forget who it was against, but he just caught a simple slant over the middle, and it was in double coverage where he just caught it and then took off right between the two defenders, took it to the house for a touchdown. Like, this guy is legit. And if this wide receiver draft was not as stacked as it is, he would be probably like a top 5. Like, I'd say he would be like a around 15 picked.
I agree.
So
he's going to be solid in the NFL. There's just this draft is so deep when it comes to wide receiver and running back talent, and pretty deep. I'd say average depth, maybe quarterback wise. You got Williams, you got Michael Penix, you got Blue Nix, you got Sam Hartman. Like, there's a lot of different quarterbacks to pick from. Fantastic running backs, great wide receivers. The draft's definitely going to be an interesting one this year. It almost makes me wish the Cleveland Browns had a high pick, first-round pick.
Yeah.
Fortunately, not the case. We get to sit, but, for the first time in a long time over these last few years, we've actually got to sit back and enjoy draft day and not panic and just kind of watch what other moves teams around us make. Maybe we'll trade Greg Newsome on draft night. Who knows? Maybe we won't. Maybe by then we'll have Wilkins and Baker wrapped up. There's so much that could change between now and the NFL draft. It's an exciting time of the year. I'm excited for it. And it's really the beginning of football season for me. Once the draft's here and over, the excitement starts to build.
Yep, absolutely.
So, obviously with the excitement of the NFL Combine, one drill they don't have in the NFL Combine is how much you can eat in a minute. And our next guy, he would absolutely kill it at that drill. Faustino is back with another rendition of Faustino's Brownie Bites.
Eat that brownie, fat boy.
After last week, I'd love to see how he tops this one.
Yeah.
So without further ado, Faustino, the floor is yours. Thank you, Faustino. We so look forward to watching you eat brownies every week, and we are sorry we are contributing to your case of type 2 diabetes. We love you.
Wish we could contribute to that receding hairline, but
yeah, we're gonna get sponsored by Rogaine, and we're gonna.
There we go.
We'll
hook you up. We'll help you.
We love you. Thank you. Anyways, time for our favorite segment of the show, and I'm sure you already know what I'm talking about. But it is time for Honky of the Week. And we have our second winner. And I guess this one is more of an honorable mention. It is Texas Tech safety Tyler Owens, because he had the greatest quote in the history of the NFL Combine. And he said, "I don't believe in space. I don't think there's other planets and stuff like that. You know what? I'm all for it. I want my DBs on the field locked in. I don't want him out there thinking about Pluto and the Milky Way galaxy and if aliens exist. If he thinks the Earth is the only thing in the universe and space is not real and the moon landing was fake and this and this and that, fine. As long as you can cover Jamar Chase on the slant route, I don't care."
Mm-hmm. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I know some of you out there might be saying he doesn't fit the mold of the title of Honky of the Week. Well, people, we have determined that this was some grade A honky shit. So
absolutely.
So this unfortunately, Tyler, if you see this, which you probably won't, but if you do, hello, you qualified.
Yeah, congratulations. Your weird conspiracy theory has won you Honky of the Week.
What do you think? Off topic, real fast, just really, really fast here. I do believe. I think space is crazy. Like, I think it's so cool that we live on a planet and you can look up and see stars and other planets. It's cool, but sometimes, like, it is crazy to sit here and be like, "Is that real?" Like, not saying that I think it's fake, because it's absolutely real, and I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome, the universe that we live in. But I gotta say, in all fairness to him, I do understand, because I feel like at one point in all of our lives, we have been like, "Is that real?" And then you go, "Oh yeah, it is. Of course it is."
Absolutely.
So he hasn't gotten past that point. I don't know how at age 21, 2, however old he is, that he hasn't gotten past that point. But you know, you'll get there someday.
Conspiracy theories are great. The space is the great unknown. Only thing crazier than space to me is the concept of the ocean.
Yep.
We've only explored 2% of the ocean, and God knows what's down there.
I know, dude. There's creatures like Tino floating down there.
Oh God, that's awful.
It's, you know, you might see a wild Kyle down there. No, I'm just kidding. I love you.
Oh,
I love you, Kyle.
God.
I love you, Kyle. If you see this, I'm sorry.
Shout out to more for you, Cleveland.
Yes. Friends of the show. Always friends of the show.
Sometimes. Unless Derek makes him mad. Then
yeah.
not so.
But along with Honky of the Week, producer Jacob has a surprise, allegedly, for me and the Tone Man here. So, don't really know how else to say it. I guess Jacob, take it away. Oh boy. Lad Mahonky.
Lad Mahonky.
Oh my God.
He's really staring that football into his hands. He lives and breathes football, apparently. He's making sure he catches that thing.
Oh.
That is the "I have to poop and I just got out of the car and I'm running to my door" face.
Yeah.
All right. That looks like me when I'm drunk trying to give my girlfriend affection.
That. You know what that is? That's the, "Oh shit, I'm going undrafted." That's what that is.
That's Faustino dropping a plate of food when he's trying to walk back into the living room.
He ain't dropping no plate of food. Are you kidding me?
That's fair.
Oh, not our boy Worthy. Listen, hey man, he was trying to break records. All right, give him.
He's just trying to run. He's good.
Give him a pass. You know what he looks like?
What?
I hate to do this. all I'm seeing right now, the first thought that come to my mind was Bug's Life. Them big ass eyes.
Yep.
Oh. That's the don't let the balls hit me in the face. I know you've made that face before.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, have I? That's funny, Derek.
I'm just kidding. Love you. Oh my gosh. Well,
I don't even know what I'm looking at right now.
you know what he looks like? He looks like every high school starting quarterback.
Yeah, 1,000%.
That's what he looks like. Oh,
holy shit! That's me. That's me with shorter hair and a shorter beard. Where the hell did you get that?
Hey, you want to take your glasses off real quick and get into motion?
I got you on.
Close
That's
enough.
me.
Oh gosh. See, you know the thing about this dude? This dude has a lot of hair, but as you can clearly see, if we do some inspecting here, he's gonna be bald within the next year because he's
got a receding hairline.
But he's got some significant, I don't know what the right word is.
Male pattern baldness.
No, it's like spots. Like there's just spots, you know what I mean, in the middle there where you can see it starting. Yeah. He's got some John Cena action going. That's what he's got. Yep. Like he's got the hair, but you can see the spots and you're like, oh boy, your time's coming.
Yeah.
So, any more?
Nope, that's it. No more funny faces. Anyways, it's been a great episode. We're glad to bring yet another episode of Dawg Pound Discussions to you, despite the fact that Derek is on his deathbed.
Yeah.
You know, we were going to do this earlier in the week, but Derek probably would not be able to be on camera. That's how bad he was.
No joke. I don't know how many times we had to push this back. I felt bad because I was like, man, you know, I felt like we had a solid first episode. You know, we came out. I thought we were okay. You know, we were good. And then week 2, of course, I got to be the one to mess it up. But I thought we're okay. We're passable. I'll be fine.
No, right.
I mean, you know, you got to get over me sounding like Judy from down the street. You know, but we'll be okay. We'll be fine. Next week, we'll be better. I hopefully will sound a little bit better. I am a bit worried. I'm not going to lie. Dead ass serious. I am a little bit worried that my vocal cords are going to be kind of messed up for a while just because of how much I coughed and how much, like, you know, they got messed up. I am a little bit worried, so we'll see. But we'll be better for sure.
I know it's not you what you're used to usually gargling that's warm and salty. But go gargle some warm seawater. Salt water, not seawater.
Yeah. Whatever.
Anyways. We'll be back next week. Yeah. Free agency predictions, rumors, desires. Deep dive at the free agency market, what the Cleveland Browns are going to do. Yeah. But that's it for us this week. For me, okay, Derek's got a joke.
I ain't got a joke. Honky. I just want to say, you know, last week was crazy. Like, I was, like, dead during the whole time. But the few periods of time that I would look at my phone and see the news, I'd be like, oh, my gosh, are you kidding me? Next thing, what? He got cut? Like, it is crazy right now. It is insane. And I anticipate it to be the same thing. So we're going to be here, you know, and we're going to talk about it. So it is interesting. The last thing I will say, I know I talk way too much, but no, I thought it was interesting from the combine. Andrew Berry was talking about how he wanted to make a splash this offseason. Shout out to Dipple. Shout out to DPL, our friend, who said Christian Wilkins from the start. Because Dipple has been correct on that. Even when it didn't really make a whole lot of sense. before it was even announced that he was getting or not getting tagged. He was on it. So shout out to you, my friend. Now, if you could beat Torrey and Madden, losing to the
Panthers, I believe
losing to the Panthers 45-19, maybe it makes sense why the car was in the ditch, but
God.
I'm
Anyways,
just
that's it
kidding.
for us.
Love
Like,
you.
share, subscribe. We're out. Go Browns. See you next week.
Bye.